Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with something that is super cool. We've got ourselves a brand new Creature Preacher release, and if you are familiar with the film that this is from, you're instantly going to know what this is. And if you are not familiar with the film, this is from the 7th Voyage of Sinbad, which is a film where Ray Harryhausen had created the special effects for and created this dragon in that film. And it's probably one of, honestly, the most iconic film dragons that you are ever going to see. It is an absolutely incredible creature in the film. And man, oh man, did Creature Preacher ever knock this one out of the park, if you ask me. The colors of this one, I think, are obviously going to be slightly brighter than you see on the version in the film, but I love it because of that. His paintwork on this is phenomenal, and honestly, it might be my favorite model that I've ever seen painted by Creature Preacher. He always does a great job, but there's just something that is so nice looking about the colors that he's used on this, and just really so vibrant and so impressive, and I love the variation of color that he's added through the course of the entire figure. It really is a phenomenal looking version of this dragon here in hand, and I would honestly say, again, right out of the gate, it's one of my favorite Creature Preacher models that I've ever seen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this, and we'll check it out from there. Now, because this is green, I'm sure my camera will have a fit over it, because for some reason my camera really hates stuff that is green. But if you start up here at the head sculpt of our dragon, you can see straight away how nice that head sculpt looks. We've got those ridges there up there on the top of the head that are painted out with a reddish tone. You can also see the top of the head looks nice. And just look at all the variations of greens. Creature Preacher always does such a good job of adding in variation of color to his models. You could tell he really does put a lot of time and effort and work into creating these, not just sculpting them, but also painting them as beautifully as he does. And one thing that is almost like a, I would say, a calling card for Creature Preacher is his ability to add a metallic tone, usually in the mouth, but somewhere on the model. And you can see we do have that metallic coloration there for the tongue of our dragon, and you've also got the teeth sculpted out in there. I like that he's actually sculpted them out like along the gum line there, each tooth individually coming out of the gums, as well as, of course, those fangs up there on the top of the inside of the mouth. This dragon is very long, so I'm having a hard time kind of maneuvering it with the stuff over here to the side, and I'm also trying to keep the dragon at a distance enough that the green is not going to mess with my camera, because for some reason, as I said, my camera just goes nuts with greens. Like if we get close, you can see it instantly start to change colors. I don't know why it does it, but I hate it. But you can see the eyes are painted with basically like a blackish tone, it looks like, and then you've also got similar dark tones that kind of move around the eye socket and lead back there behind the eye. You can also see the nostrils sculpted out and painted as well with a darker tone. We have the ear back here sculpted for our dragon as well. And as you lead up into the horns on the top of the head, we get the double dose of metallic tones, because yet again we have that look up here. So basically a double dose of the calling card of Creature Preacher. But I love that he's even added in variation of color up here on the horns, and the horns as well look really good when it comes to the sculpt and the kind of almost like curly look that the dragon has for the horns. It looks really nice. You can see the ridges following along the back of our dragon as we move down. They continue to have that reddish tone. You can see the really nice, oh, let's move a little bit further away. My camera's going to go nuts. The really nice scale detail here on the back of the neck. You can see kind of like some bumpier, like osteoderm-like scales showing up in a few different areas. He even has included some bluish tones here as you move down. Really nice, really subtle additions of blues added to the dragon as you move down that nice long neck. You can even see a little bit more of the blues down there in the throat and this little area of hanging skin coming off of the lower jaw. You can see the underside sports, again, really nice larger scoot-like scales moving down, and also, again, absolutely awesome paintwork. He's highlighted all of the scales by applying darker tones in between those large sort of scoots on the underside, but also, again, the variation of color is super impressive as we have different variations of greens as well as slight bluish greens and stuff picking up. There's just so much amazing paintwork on this dragon. I cannot begin to tell you guys how much I really love the colors of this. As you move down along the back of the dragon, you can see the sail increase here, kind of like those ridges turning into an actual sort of a sail moving along the back of the dragon, again painted with that reddish tone. We have all sorts of bumpy scales, all sorts of variation to the sizes of the scales as you move down here along the side of the dragon. And again, the really nice paintwork. You can see different shades of greens added, really dark greens in certain areas, kind of elaborating different areas of the dragon, really highlighting the stomach and that light green of the stomach right there. You can even see some more blues as you lead up here toward like the shoulder area of our dragon. As you move down into the front leg, the legs are kind of long, and again, that's exactly how they are portrayed in the film. You can see the legs do look really nice. We still have that really nice variation of color throughout. Again, tons and tons and tons of very subtle changes in color in this dragon, giving it a very realistic and lifelike look, I think. And then you can see the foot sculpt is also nicely done. The toes are sculpted nicely. The nails are painted with a black tone. And then you lead back here, you've got the rear leg. You can see the muscle definition sculpted out, really quite strong looking rear leg for the dragon. You have the knee here in the front of the leg, and then as you move down, you can see the bend in the ankle, as well as again the foot sculpt with the toes extending out and the nails again painted with a black. And then you move up here and you do see a pretty obvious seam right here where the tail is connected, and that's actually because the tail came of a separate piece like it originally. I don't know if I could pull it back out. Yeah, it looks like I probably could. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, it's starting to pull out. The tail was actually separate in the package, and then I had to put the tail back in. Now I've got to, there we go, had to weasel it back in again. But that's why you see that seam. The tail was actually disconnected in the packaging, and I think this is the first time he's ever done it like that, which is convenient for him. It'll definitely make it easier to ship them because this is such a long model, so it is actually nice to have the ability to disconnect the tail if need be. But as you lead out into the tail, again, you get a little bit more of that sort of sail-like area picking up here on the back. It's almost like a webbed sort of ridge line moving along the spinal column of the dragon, and again painted with that reddish tone. You have that very trademark style to the skin texture of the tail of the dragon as you lead out. Again, tons and tons of variation of color, something I've been saying this entire time. The detailing and everything looks really nice as you move down to the underside. Same deal for the really nice paintwork. And the tail leads out and down and then curves back up here at the end with a really nice curve. Let me go ahead and readjust my hand here so I can kind of move it out a little bit further. And then you have that almost arrowhead-like tip to the tail, which again sports greenish tones, bluish tones, all sorts of really, really subtle variation of color. I don't think there's going to be any real way for me to get a good shot of it from behind, but again, it looks absolutely epic, and you can see how nice, again, and how vibrant the colors are, especially as you move down here along the underside of the dragon. And if we turn it around and take a look at the initial side, you can see, again, everything looks just as nice over here. The dragon is almost, I would say, standing in sort of like a neutral position. Sort of. So there's not a whole lot of difference that you're going to see when it comes to the detailing aspect over here compared to what we saw on the initial side. Again, the paintwork looks absolutely excellent on both sides. So does the sculpt. Definitely one of the coolest looking versions I've ever seen of this dragon, and it's just in general really nice to have such a beautiful version of this dragon to finally add to my collection. And as I've already stated, it's a very sizable model for a length from the snout of the dragon all the way out here to the tail. You are looking at about 20 inches, almost on the dot, or about 51 centimeters. And now that's, of course, with the tail curving up. If that tail were actually extended out further and straightened out, it would be even longer. But as far as a height goes, to the top of that horn, about 8 inches or around 20.5 centimeters. So definitely very sizable. And for a comparison, a size comparison to show you that, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon in the Collect a Human Being, next to our Creature Preacher 7th Voyage of Sinbad Dragon. And you can see exactly as I said, it's really quite large. Definitely a very sizable, very impressively sized model, which is nice to have. Finally have a good model of this dragon out, but not only a good model of it, a very nicely sized version that is definitely going to stand out on your shelf. And since I unfortunately don't really have any other models that I can recall of this dragon, I mean, I do have one really small model of it, but It's not something that's going to compare well with this. The size is just drastically different. But you can see a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus stepping in here next to our dragon for another size comparison. And like I said, don't really have anything that's going to compare well with this, so just some more randoms we'll go with, which would be the Collect A Deluxe Dimetrodon Safari Ltd, Eutyrannus, and Schleich Diabloceratops for yet another comparison with this dragon. And then one final size comparison, you can see the Star Ace version of the Cyclops, also from this film, next to the Creature Preacher version of the dragon, and you can very clearly see that the size is a bit different here between these two. The dragon is still huge, but the Cyclops is obviously a bit too tall to match correctly with this dragon. But what is cool is that Creature Preacher is actually working on currently creating himself his very own version of the Cyclops that will go with the dragon once it's finished. So that's definitely fun to know that that is in the future here, again coming from Creature Preacher very soon. So this Creature Preacher Ray Harryhausen 7th Voyage of Sinbad Dragon model is absolutely awesome. I am a huge fan of this figure. I think it looks great as a whole, and like I said, probably one of my favorites to come from Creature Preacher so far. It just has such a presence to it, and it's so huge and just so beautiful that I can't help but absolutely fall in love with this, and I have since the moment I pulled it out of the box. The sculpt is really nicely done. It sports some very nice skin texture throughout, as well as, again, that pretty much classic appearance of this dragon. I think he's captured everything that I can see on this pretty much perfectly, and I would say it's probably one of the best sculpts to come from Creature Preacher so far. Also one of his coolest, because it is a dragon that is so severely overlooked when it comes to models. It's just that one creature from the Harryhausen films you just see for some reason get neglected so often, and I don't understand why, but Creature Preacher has absolutely done this model justice and this dragon justice. On top of the super nice looking sculpt, his paintwork on this is honestly just gorgeous. I love the tones of color on the dragon throughout. He's done a great job of adding in really vibrant tones of greens, really nice vibrant tones of reds, even some pretty vibrant tones of blues throughout randomly on the model. And he's done a very good job of adding in lots of variation of color, highlighting the detail perfectly throughout, and again just giving it an extremely nice looking and definitely a standout paint job. It is far and away a model that is going to suck in the attention of anybody that walks into your collection room if you end up grabbing one of these, because it's just so unbelievably striking. There's no way to avoid it. Like, it instantly just pulls you in. It's so nice looking. So if you are interested in grabbing one of these for yourself, I will include a link in the description to the Instagram account of Creature Preacher, as well as, of course, his Etsy shop, where you can head on over there and grab yourself some amazing Creature Preacher models. And again, if this is not on there, you can, of course, always inquire further by messaging Creature Preacher, or if you do not have social media, you can contact me, and I can contact him for you to get the info that you might be looking for on when this will be available again for sale. So make sure you check those links, go grab this epic dragon, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.